You might not know that nearly 25 million Asian Americans live in the United States, or that in the 100 top grossing films, only 17 showed Asians at proportional representation, or that nearly half of AANHPI adults experienced an act of hate last year simply because of who they are. But we know. Because stories only matter if they're seen. And because erasure doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly. That's why the Philadelphia Asian American Film Foundation exists. Every year, filmmakers from over 23 AANHPI countries send us their work. We don't say countless stories. We count them. Hundreds of films, thousands of audience members, dozens of free community events year-round. Because proof matters, and visibility saves culture. Right now, Paaff is at a turning point, and this is your moment to act. To keep our stories alive. To keep them visible. To keep them ours. Donate today and help protect our stories.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our first ever Paaff Town Hall. On behalf of the Philadelphia Asian American Film Foundation, I just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone for joining us. And it is a really exciting night. Tonight, you're going to hear from our staff, from our fellow community organizations, but also from some of our beloved and esteemed filmmakers who have joined us throughout the years. And we're really excited that you're here. Just as a little bit of a housekeeping and just a relational thing to let you know that we love you, I would love to hear where some people are tuning in from. So if you're in the comment section right now and you're not driving, if you could just type in the comment section how long you've been coming to Paaff, maybe the first year that you attended a Paaff event, or maybe if you're not tuning in from the East Coast, where you are tuning in from. I'd love to hear where everyone is tuning in from. Let's see, and I'm going to look at the comment sections too. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you're tuning in, how long have you been coming to Paaff? How long have you been with us? We'd love to see how long you've been here. Okay. Some of you have been with us for many, many years, since the very beginning. We're in our 18th year now, and some of you have just joined us. I see you, Joey. Hi. I started in 2025. This is Julian. Thank you for joining us, and Christina, who was one of our longtime supporters, but also a juror at our festival last year. We're so thankful that both of you are joining us tonight. We're nothing without our community. And just to dive right in, I'd love to introduce our executive director, Nani Shin, to just tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight and to really frame the heartbeat behind this town hall. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Nani Shin. Okay, hi everyone. Nani, I put myself on screen just because I love this. This is what the most beautiful thing about live stream is the humanness of it all. Nani, we couldn't hear you. I'm so sorry. Can I ask you to unmute yourself real quick?
So sorry about that. I was also multitasking, trying to get more people into the chat. I'm into
It's not
the
a problem. It's really a good reason for us to be on screen together. Should we try to high five? Can you do that? Yeah, there we go. Nani, I'm gonna hand it right over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Apologies for that. All right, starting over, but good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're incredibly humbled and honored that you chose to attend our very first town hall. Your presence matters. It affirms something we've always known to be true. Paaff exists because of our community, and it is sustained by our community. You showing up, especially in moments like this, is an act of care, trust, and solidarity. And we need that now more than ever. This is an existential moment for Paaff, for Philadelphia, and for arts and culture across the country. We're witnessing the active erasure of stories and history. Most recently, here at home, we saw the removal of the President's House Slavery Memorial. Organizations like Paaff and many of our partners exist to ensure our collective stories are protected, nurtured, preserved, and amplified. So today, I want to take a moment to share how we arrived at this moment, giving some context to our call to action. Paaff was founded in 2008 to bring Asian and Asian American stories, cultures, and talent to broader audiences in Philadelphia. What began as a volunteer-driven effort supported by corporate sponsors grew over time into a vital cultural institution. We're indebted to the dedicated leadership over the years and an incredible community of volunteers. 3 years ago, we received significant support from the People's Media Fund, formerly the Independent Public Media Fund, along with other smaller grants, allowing Paaff to hire staff and to professionalize the organization. Today, we have 3 full-time staff, and with committed volunteers, contractors, and interns, we're able to create intentional and thoughtfully curated programs that authentically represent a diverse diaspora. After the pandemic, it took time to rebuild the festival, and in 2024, we saw an increase in attendance by 200%. This growth was a powerful signal. It reflected a real hunger for independent, authentic storytelling and for spaces where our community can come together. It was also right after the presidential election, and it became clear that our audience was seeking connection, safe circles, shared values, and meaningful conversations. We felt that energy deeply, and it moved us to do more, to continue the dialogue and keep the community together. It really emboldened us. So in 2025, we took a major step forward. Paaff became an independent 501c3 nonprofit and transitioned from Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival into the Philadelphia Asian American Film Foundation. It expanded beyond single annual event into a year-round presence. We launched new programs like the Storyteller Spotlight Speaker Series and our inaugural Spring Showcase to celebrate AA and HPI Heritage Month. We deepened partnerships with arts and also civic organizations to co-present events, allowing us to remain visible, connected, and responsive to our community throughout the year. With a bold vision, we started to strategize how to diversify our funding to support the expanded work. While our reach grew, we also faced unexpected setbacks. We lost our largest corporate sponsor, along with festival funding that had been promised. We were not prepared to roll out new fundraising initiatives yet, leaving us with no safety net. We continued to pursue grants and sponsorship for our programs, but the reality is this: in the short term, we must rely on one another to protect the resources our communities depend on. We're committed to keeping our annual festival running, but sustaining staff, expanding year-round programming, and building toward a stable future requires immediate support. Our work is more than cinema and entertainment. It's about opportunity, representation, challenging stereotypes, and preserving cultural heritage. These are investments in belonging, in visibility, and in shared future. As the city prepares to commemorate the 250th anniversary of our nation, we want to ensure our stories, cultures, and contributions are part of the American narrative. So today, we're asking you to help protect that future with us. Protect our stories. Donate today and help us rally a broader support among your circles. I want to take a moment to just thank our team. You met Joseph, we have Arjang, David, Shreya, and Kara. I want to also thank our board and today's guest speakers who graciously accepted our invitation to share their own impact stories and why we need each other and why we need to protect our stories. So I want to take a moment to introduce our first speakers. We have been very fortunate to have these filmmakers that have been a part of Paaff for several years, and we're just so honored that they accepted our invitation again to be a part of this town hall. So I want to start with Nick Hartanto. He's an Indonesian-American filmmaker based in New York. His short film, The Dishwasher, which he co-directed, was awarded a special jury mention at Tribeca in 2019 and was then acquired by HBO Max. Also a skilled cinematographer, he shot Adult Swim series, Hot Package. He is currently touring festivals with his new film, Daly City, which we were very fortunate to screen in 2024. It won the Academy Award qualification at Salute Your Shorts Film Festival. Following Nick, we will have Dr. Van Tran Nguyen. She's a filmmaker, scholar, and multimedia artist. Tran Nguyen's monograph in progress, Playing with Myself, Replication of Self-Determination, it re-examines the tools of media making as diasporic technologies, asserting that the advances and technique of storytelling are recuperated by Asian artists, from weapons of subjectification to mediums of liberation. She co-wrote and co-directed 2 films with her partner, Alex Dorwick, Erie County Smile in 2021, available for public access via PBS, and The Motherlode from 2024, which premiered at the Hawaii International Film Festival with support from the Vilcek Foundation's New American Perspectives. And we also got to screen it here at Paaff. She's an assistant professor of performing arts at Georgetown University. Thank you again, and I'm going to ask to pass it to Nick.
Hey, everyone. When I was just a young boy, I used to draw a comic book every day after I got home from school. By the time I was a teenager, I probably killed a small rainforest. But, you know, it was only until I was an adult that I looked back on this entire universe of characters that I created, and I realized that everyone was white. You know, I was a child of the 90s, and, you know, all the books I read, all the movies I watched created this kind of default in my mind. And I literally couldn't see myself as the hero of my own stories. Even as a filmmaker to this day, you know, it's very rare for me to be able to see a movie that is representative of the Indonesian diaspora. And so that's in part what inspired me to make a short film called Daly City, which is a story about my family, and you know, stars an Indonesian American cast. Shortly after we finished shooting, Jet, our 10-year-old lead actor, he came up to me and he asked me to take off my glasses, and then he asked me to take off my hat, and he just kind of stared at me, kind of studying my face for a while. And I don't know, it made me kind of think that it's so important to see someone who looks like you in positions of power. Eventually, we began our festival run, and Paaff, you know, was one of the first festivals to really believe in us, and they championed us by including us in their awards program. And then so many other Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander film festivals across the whole country really lifted us up, and that eventually led us to winning that Academy Award qualifying award, which actually made me the first Indonesian American to be eligible. Unlike my younger self, I hope that Jet, through this journey, is able to see himself as the hero of his own stories. And I'd just like to say that none of this would have been possible without all the love and support of this community, uplifting voices that are so rarely heard. Thank you.
Hi, all. Thank you for that, Nick, and thank you, Nani, for the introduction and for the endless support throughout the years. I am a filmmaker, as Nani mentioned, and I'm also an assistant professor at Georgetown, University of Georgetown. And in 2021, in the midst of the pandemic in 2020, myself and my partner worked on this short film called Erie County Smile. And it's a short film that is incredibly culturally specific. It is a satire of Paris by Night, which is a piece of diasporic media that I grew up watching. And as a Vietnamese American person that grew up in Western New York, I felt like I was so isolated that I felt like I was growing up on the moon. And so in making this story and satirizing something that I both revered and wanted to deeply critique, I was really afraid that there was no audience for something that is that specific, until I, on a whim, submitted it to the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival. And so they gave us a chance. And what I kind of wanted to talk about is that this type of social programming and hospitality is the thing that is so important for filmmakers. And also a place like Philly Asian American Film Fest is really important for diasporic people, is because we are told often, especially in studio systems, that you must kind of simplify, if not oversimplify, your existence to be understood. And Paaff is a place that understands deeply that the more specific you become, the actually more universal your story is. And you know, you're told, and in this space you're celebrated for boldly moving with authenticity, and it's the work that Paaff takes very, very seriously. So us makers, you know, don't really get that many chances, and Paaff is a place that really takes care of creatives like myself. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm David Tan. I am the Partnerships Director at Paaff. I am here to talk about one of our core tenets, which is building community. We at Paaff are very unique in the sense that we are a storytelling organization that can connect the many different cultures, ANHPI, histories and cultures together through the art of verbal, visual, song storytelling. We have communities here that are receptors to the filmmakers who are bringing their stories for them. And we are in a position of trying to grow Philadelphia's artistic community by having a place, a home for their stories. I want to next introduce friends and community members of Paaff. First, we will have Shreya Soni, our former intern and festival manager extraordinaire. Rex Yin, who is the co-chair of Philly Asian and Queer, as well as board member to the Cambodian Association. Finally, we will have Rob Busher, who is, as well as professor at Penn in the East Asian Studies. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shreya, and over the last year I've had the privilege to work for Paaff as festival manager and started as an intern. My experience with Paaff has deeply reinforced the importance of community organizations dedicated to protecting and uplifting AA and HPI stories. As someone who has often felt caught between my Indian and American identities, I understand how powerful it is to see narratives that reflect the fullness of not only who I am, but who my community is as well. Being part of the Paaff team showed me that representation doesn't just happen by accident. It requires intentional spaces and committed people who are willing to advocate for stories that might otherwise go unheard. Through my first events as part of the team, I witnessed firsthand the care and diligence that the staff put into presenting stories that resonate authentically with the communities they represent. It became clear to me that Paaff does so much more than just screen films. They create environments that individuals feel seen, valued, and proud of their identities. Attendees and volunteers I engaged with at Spring Showcase and Fall Festival expressed the excitement about being part of something that elevated not only AA and HPI voices collectively, but also honored individual experiences. They felt so proud to finally find a community where they could holistically be themselves, a similar feeling that I experienced when I was part of the team. Protecting AA and HPI narratives means ensuring there is space for the vibrancy, nuance, and diversity that our communities hold, especially in a media landscape that historically and still continues to center singular and incomplete perspectives. I said this once in a journal post, and I still stand by it wholeheartedly. Without organizations like Paaff, the stories we share would lose far too much color and dimension, and we simply cannot stand for that. Paaff safeguards the multiplicity of histories, cultures, and lived experiences that make up the AA and HPI community, while reminding audiences that there's no single way that we all experience the world. I ask that we all do our part in protecting Paaff, because at the end of the day, Paaff protects our ability to share our stories authentically. Thank you so much for having me, Paaff. You mean the world to me and everyone else. Thank you, guys.
Amazing. Wow, I've been a supporter of Paaff for 10 years, and I am so honored to be here. Philadelphia Asian and Queer, PAC for short, has collaborated with Paaff on its inaugural Storyteller Spotlight, a queer Asian short films screening and hangout, and served as a community sponsor, inviting our community members to the film festival. In the last few years, PAC has been reimagining our community-centered public programs focused on belonging, healing, joy, and social connection. Collaboration expands the reach and accessibility of critical AA and HPI stories to people served by community-based organizations. PAC, as a small volunteer-led organization, Paaff has extended its resources to us so that we can work together to showcase incredible AA and HPI films and facilitate meaningful dialogues about the intersectionality of being AAPI and LGBTQIA+. I think collaboration is important for demonstrating collective care and strengthening the identities of those around us. And referencing this past fall's theme of dreaming of other worlds, we dream of a world where Asian queer folks are accepted and empowered. We dream of a world where trans bodies are not pawns in a nation's political games. We dream of a world where words like solidarity and liberation are not only said, but demonstrated. PAC believes our fight can't be won alone, and by showing up alongside with Paaff, we ensure our stories can continue for generations to come. In love and solidarity, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rob Busher, and I'm the former festival director of Paaff 2014 to 2019, and was a staff volunteer for about 7 years with the organization. I wanted to talk a little bit about what drew me to this organization, and I think the power that this organization has now, today, in this current landscape. But as a mixed-race Japanese American whose family were forcibly removed and incarcerated during World War II, our stories were never told the way that we knew them to be true. And I think having a space within the media landscape to accurately represent the histories of our people is important for us to be able to have a shared goal for our futures. I think a lot about this moment that we're in right now and the role that Paaff can play in shaping how future generations understand Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander stories. One of the most important things, I think, is that Paaff has a unique ability to counter anti-immigrant sentiments by normalizing portrayals of immigrant communities and their descendants. Our communities have been here for 100 plus years. We have long histories in this country, and we're part of the fabric of this society. So people need to understand that Asian Americans and NHPIs are here and are a good, positive contribution to our society in ways that will also help to counter some of the anti-immigrant narratives that are facing many communities in this moment. I think another important aspect is that not all representation is good. We have seen a lot of victories over the last decade within the Hollywood mainstream landscape as Asian American stories are becoming part of this larger mainstream entertainment landscape, but it continues to prioritize upper middle class East Asian American stories. Festivals like Paaff serve as a platform for lesser represented communities within the AANHPI umbrella so that all of these communities can share our stories together and really shine a light on the lesser understood or lesser platformed communities. And I think lastly, the most important point that I really stress here, while there are other orgs like Paaff in this country, Paaff is the only Philadelphia-based entity that does this kind of work. By supporting Paaff into this next phase of its organizational lifespan as a foundation, we can further highlight the unique experiences of being Asian American in Philly and empower our local community to tell their own stories. I hope that you will join me in supporting Paaff in this moment of need.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you in advance, or in reality, if you already have, for donating to our Capital campaign. Let's see if they can put the QR code up that quickly again. There it is. My name is Arjang. Some of you probably know me, and if you don't, I am the Festival and Programming Director at Paaff. I've been involved with Paaff since 2018, started as a volunteer, became Programming Director in 2020, Festival Director in 2023. I think something that has been really special to me about working with this organization is our ability to really act as a platform for stories that may not otherwise have one, and as a mode of engagement for communities to find those stories when they may not otherwise do so. I really resonated with what Dr. Van said earlier about specificity and universality, and kind of jumping off that, I also want to say that when we talk about representation, it doesn't just mean ticking boxes. It doesn't mean, assimilating into the greater American narrative project so much. But what it really means is, when our communities are joyous, we get to depict that joy. When our communities are angry, like many are now, we get to depict that anger, and we get to show people, and people get to relate to one another. I really want to highlight a couple of examples of programming that I think have embodied this, two from last year, in fact. Since Paaff became a foundation in 2025, we've really tried to build up our year-round programming. And one example of that was last year, we collaborated with several organizations in the city, such as CineSpeak, Scribe Video Center, the Friends of FDR Park, the Southeast Asian Vendors Association of FDR Park, to put on this showcase of short films at FDR Park, incorporated into the sort of Southeast Asian market that takes place there. And two of the films, among others, that were shown there were We Were the Scenery, which has since been Oscar shortlisted, as well as an episodic short called The Market, which is part of a longer series called Southeast Asian Journeys, which was literally about the Southeast Asian market at FDR Park. And for, among many other reasons, what was really so important to me about this program was that it was activating and speaking directly to a community that so often is ignored by the broader media ecosystem here in Philly. And I think that is just the sort of thing that Paaff can do and will continue to do as long as it exists. I also wanted to highlight, last year at our festival, our yearly film festival, we had the Philadelphia premiere of the film, The Rose Come Back to Me. directed by Eugene Yi, which, for those who don't know, is about a Korean rock band called The Rose. And, to my regret, this was not a band that I had ever heard of until I found out about this film. But I realized upon the premiere in Philly that this is a band that had so many fans with no kind of, all ages, all backgrounds, all kinds of people showed up to this film. It was a sold out screening. People asked for tickets even up to like the moment that it was taking place. And I really got to see what is so special about our film festival and our organization more broadly, in that we get to bring people together and show them things that they may not otherwise get to show. I know that film is about to have its theatrical release, but since then it had not been shown in Philly otherwise. So it was really demonstrative of the way Paaff is able to showcase these special events. And that is also my kind of unsmooth way of introducing our next couple of speakers. So I will do so now. Kathy Lynn Che is a writer and multidisciplinary artist. She is the author of Becoming Ghost, a finalist for the National Book Award, Split, and co-author of An Asian American A to Z, A Children's Guide to Our History. Her video installation Apocalypse is an open call commission with The Shed, and her film We Were the Scenery was shortlisted for an Academy Award and won the Short Film Jury Award Nonfiction at the Sundance Film Festival. She teaches as core faculty in poetry at the low residency MFA program in creative writing at Antioch University in Los Angeles, and works as executive director of Kundiman. And Eugene Yi's work includes the news and documentary Emmy-winning Free Chol-Soo Lee, The Rose Come Back to Me, and the A-List, 15 Stories from Asian and Pacific Diasporas. He's a member of the Asian American Documentary Network, the Alliance of Documentary Editors, and the Directors Guild of America. So I will, without further ado, Kathy Lynn Che.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy Lynn Che. Thank you so much, Arjang, and everybody here for just holding space for Paaff, which is an incredible community space that deserves all the support that it can possibly get for generations to come. So as Arjang mentioned, I am a poet, executive director of a literary nonprofit organization for Asian American writers called Kundiman. And I will tell you that the landscape for Asian American stories has always been severely underfunded, but continues to be attacked. Federal government-wise, the NEA is trying to attack funding. There's so much at threat actively in this moment for any organization that dares to lift up voices that have been historically marginalized or erased. So that is something that is a reality that literary nonprofits or nonprofit organizations that serve artists, specifically from a different subset like Asian American or Pacific Islander groups, experience. So that's just one context I want to bring. I want to also just talk about the different types of support that Paaff provided. Not only did it was I able to connect to Southeast Asian audiences in Philadelphia at the Southeast Asian market. I also felt so moved to be in community with all of the amazing other filmmakers who make up such a broad range of Asian America or Asian diasporic storytelling at the festival. And on top of that, Paaff was a fiscal sponsor. Without their support, we would not have been able to do our Oscar campaign, which helped us get shortlisted. They were so amazing, and the fact that they fiscally sponsored our film helped us to be able to raise that money both for us and for Paaff, and that's something I care deeply about. A space that provides such care for so many people, and it's a fun space, it's a caring space, it's a deeply intellectual space. It provides a range of fullness. And again, Philadelphia deserves this, and as do all filmmakers all over, as do the communities who come together to watch these films. So please do support Paaff, and thank you for your time.
Hi, my name's Eugene Yi, pronouns he, him, and I'm a filmmaker. As mentioned, I had a film here at Paaff last year. And I guess, when I think back on my career, like it really did start in community storytelling. And that stayed with me in a couple of ways. Some of my first jobs were in journalism or on films that were community films or community publications. And those are where I had some of my first opportunities to really learn craft and practice craft, and see what art can do when it's engaged with community fully. And over the course of my career, I was fortunate enough to work at a few different places that were not necessarily so community oriented, but were great places to learn anyway. I think back specifically to my time when I was working at the New York Times as part of their video department, and how it was a tremendously educational experience in all kinds of ways. It was missing that connection to community. And so as soon as I had an opportunity to start really truly making work of my own, the first thing I did was reach out to colleagues that I had connected with in the community and go back to telling community stories. I think that's just where my heart is. And if I hadn't made that choice, I don't think that I would have been able to make my first documentary feature film. And that really is sort of where my career started as a filmmaker in the end. And that film was truly a team effort, it was a community effort, and ended up on public television, which we're very fortunate to be able to have had as well. So now I've had the privilege to be back in community spaces with this new project about the Korean rock band. And it's really given me a different appreciation and different view for all the ways that community spaces like Paaff are so important. One, because Paaff is not in one of the traditional sort of strongholds, LA or New York, the space that it held just felt so much more created, felt so much more precious and so much more bespoke. And it just really, when I think back on this last year, it's one of the places where I really felt connected to community most strongly. And I think that that's something that has really fed my soul over the course of the past year. And I think these spaces are so crucial, not just for being able to connect with community, but what does that mean? It means, these are the spaces where we find our people, literally and figuratively. These are the spaces, when I look back where I started my career learning craft, where I continue to hope to connect. And especially now with so much federal funding going away, these spaces are kind of a bulwark for what we have, to protect what we have, and to continue to celebrate everything that we need to celebrate and express. So I hope you all will consider supporting Paaff. I know that in the future, going forward, I hope to always be back at Paaff, either with future work or supporting in whatever way I can. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Eugene, and thank you to every speaker tonight. My name is Chris Mendoza. I'm the current board chair of Paaff, but prior to that, I was actually first connected with Paaff as a filmmaker with a film in the 2009 festival, which is actually run by the original founders. So it's great to see just how much Paaff has grown since then. Heard a lot of people talk today, and thank you for everyone's time, but take a breath with me for 1 second and let's just recap everything we all just heard and witnessed. What you heard was not a program. I know a lot of people took the time out of their day, and we're thankful for them to be able to share their experiences with Paaff, but what you truly experienced was an ecosystem. You've heard filmmakers describe for the first time someone said yes to them, accepted their film, gave them a platform. You heard how careers were launched. You heard how mentorship, internships, partnerships, screenings can create real pathways to just, beyond films and not just moments. You also heard how stories could move from ideas to screen to community and ultimately to legacy. But here's the truth. None of this can happen by accident. It happens because organizations exist whose sole purpose is to protect, elevate, and invest AA and HPI storytellers. So this evening, thank you guys all for joining us, but we need to be honest with you. If we don't close our funding gap, that ecosystem that we just went over, it's 100% at risk. This is a platform that filmmakers rely on. It's obviously a training ground for emerging talent, gathering space for our community, and just creating space for dialogue, much needed dialogue, especially in today's climate. And if we don't close that funding gap, it becomes smaller, or perhaps pauses, or the worst case, it disappears. Not just because the need is gone. The need for Paaff is very real and exists, but because the resources are. So every person who spoke tonight is really living proof of what happens when Paaff is strong. Films get made, artists get discovered, communities see themselves, Philadelphia becomes a home for stories, and really the fabric of culture, and HPI, stories and voices become much richer as a result. That's the return on investment. So now we need to talk about the role of all of you guys watching. This is a moment where admiration can become action. And if you felt any kind of pride tonight in hearing these stories, please give. If you felt represented tonight in the stories that you've heard, please give. And if you want the next generation of filmmakers to have those speakers, to have what these speakers have had, I urge you to please give. I'm asking for you to support this work right now, not next week, not after another email, but right now. There's urgency to continue Paaff's legacy and continue writing the story together. You'll see a QR screen on the top, QR code on the top left of your screen. The easiest way to donate would be to take out your phone, open your camera, and please make a contribution that is meaningful to you. I know some of you guys can give $50, some of you guys can give $500, and perhaps some of you guys have companies that you work for, companies that you run that could underwrite programs of $5,000 or more. Wherever you fall in that spectrum, we really need you guys there with us. Foundations fund momentum and sponsors fund visibility. But community is what sustains this mission. And tonight, we're calling on you guys, the community. As board chair, I can promise you this. We're not asking you to rescue something fading. We're really inviting you to feel something essential. The artist exists, the audience exists, impact is proven by everything you've heard this evening. But what we need now is capital to really keep the engine running and growing. So here's my final ask. Please help us keep the lights on for these filmmakers. Help us keep the doors open for the next intern, and help us keep the screens lit for the stories that deserve to be seen in our community. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for believing this work, and thank you for standing with Paaff.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I know that after hearing all of that, we may feel it's a little daunting or a little dire, and it is. But you know, my story with finding community in Asian American, Native, Hawaiian, Pacific Island communities has also been one of so much joy, and it's really been a joy listening to everyone speak tonight. And Chris, thank you for bringing it home. I feel maybe not weirdly, but definitely emotional after listening to everyone speak. So as to not break down over live stream in tears, I'd love to ask if anyone has any questions. If you can drop a few of the questions in the chat, well, we would love to answer some of them. I will also say this, we can probably put up the QR code while I finish this. So just in case there's anyone else who wanted to do that. We are accessible. If you have any questions, ideas, Paaff is a community, and it's not a community in the sense that we make decisions that are tone deaf to our community, but we love to hear from you. We love to be in relationship with you. And so give to our capital campaign, but also more than that, subscribe to our newsletter, reach out to us at our email addresses. We want to know you as much as you want us to know you. But I won't beat a dead horse. If nobody has any questions, I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. This will be archived on our YouTube channel and segmented on our other social media platforms for everyone to enjoy and be inspired as much as I was right now. Oh, I do see one question in the nick of time. Are there any non-financial ways you're looking for support as well? Thank you so much for asking that question. Yes, there are so many ways that you can support Paaff that are not financial. One is attend our programs, like come to our screenings, engage with our content online, share our content. Those are all ways that you can be engaged and support us. You know what? The truth is, like, some of us are able to support financially from right here in Philadelphia or from wherever you are tuning in around the world. But one thing that we all can do is spread the word. And I think that's something that we need now more than ever is we need to share good things with each other. The news is full of bad news. But one thing that we are happy here at Paaff is that we have something joyful and rich to share with our community. That is maybe the most important way that you can support us that is non-financial. And we totally understand that too. Thank you. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. That was a great one. But like I was saying, thank you so much for joining us today. Please rewatch this, rewind it, share it with a friend. Share it with a friend, and let the whole world know that there is a rich and vibrant community in the middle of Philadelphia who cares about Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Island stories, and that wants to make a difference in the world. And we believe, just like every other great movement and every other move of history, that it starts with a few people who have great passion and great mission, and that's us here at Paaff. I want to say thank you again to our entire staff for putting this together and working tirelessly and strongly behind the scenes, and to all of the filmmakers and community sponsors who joined us on this call tonight. I hope, I say this every single time, but I'll say it again. I hope this isn't the last time that we get to see you and get to engage with you. I hope that we get to see you very soon. And until then, please take care of yourselves and take care of others. Good night, everyone.